Councilwoman Garvey. Present. Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Present.
Councilman Brennan.
Present.
Councilman Harjo.
Present.
Mayor Sykes.
Present. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum for Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Before we recognize persons in the audience, if council would I want to move the executive session since Paul has a finite window from 5 to, I don't know, 5 to 6, but executive session should only take like 15 minutes max. So if council would let me move that to before we go into recognize the person in the audience.
Mayor.
Councilman Brennan.
Make a motion to amend the agenda, putting our executive session next and before recognizing persons in the audience.
Second. It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing now, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo. Aye. Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Aye.
Councilman Brennan. Aye. Councilwoman Garvey. You guys can all stay in here. We're just going to run into the next room really quick.
Thank you. That was nice. When it was freezing outside.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to enter executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-2061F.
Second. It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Garvey.
Aye.
Councilman Brennan.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Okay. Sorry about that.
You over. Get your steps in. Okay. He gets disconnected. You're in charge.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay, you're back on. You're back on.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So we're going to have the motion out of the executive session.
Motion accepted.
Call the meeting back to order.
Mayor.
Councilman Brennan.
Tiffany's advice, I will make a motion to exit
I assume. I don't know. Your motion in, you got to get
executive
out.
session.
Second. The motion and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Brennan. Aye. Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Aye.
Councilwoman Garvey.
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
All right. We're going to run down to recognizing persons in the audience. Anybody like to get down, come down and speak? Come on down, sir.
Take a seat. Just quickly, my name is Jeff Grote, and I wanted to take a minute to put a face onto that invitation that you received this afternoon about the giving machines, lunch and launch. I know Councilwoman Garvey was just looking at hers before we started, so I'm hoping that the others have also. But just to let you know, if you didn't, it's about this a charity type of activity that we do in the area of the Treasure Valley. The launch that invitation goes for is for the time that it will be at the Grove in Boise, and there is what that specific invitation for the council is that there is a invitation only luncheon beforehand where there'll be some state leaders and community leaders in Boise, plus religious and charity leaders that'll be there there to start before the ribbon cutting and launch at noon. The significance for it is this is the first time that Mountain Home community has actually had a hand in conducting this thing. On the 22nd of November is Mountain Home's Day to host the giving machines, and we'll have several folks volunteering. We have a number of folks that are going to be there providing a little bit of entertainment during the day, things like that. I don't know how deep you want me to, if you have any questions about what it is or something specific rather than just rambling on about it. But it's basically a charity fundraising thing for this year's 7 local charities, 2 international charities. Last year, this activity raised $1.3 million for the charities in our area. So, a number of folks are a little excited to see how it goes this year. In the invitation, there is a website link that you can look at. Gives you a little more detail about all of the background on it. I don't want to take up a whole lot of time unless you have any questions.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? What else, sir?
Need them polished, right?
Oh, my name is Cletus Warner. I was here and attended the city council a month and a half, maybe a little longer ago, in addressing that barricade for the end of North 19th East Street. Waiting on the city attorney to let me know or let you guys know what the legality is of that. And I don't see where there's any issue in that. I know of no other street in the city of Mountain Home that allows travel trailers to park and block a through traffic street, whether it be for residential or for main traffic. But yet this has been allowed for 10 years on North 19th East, blocking my driveway, coming out, hooking up a tow vehicle behind. You witnessed that even when you came out to the residence. It just needs to stop. It's very aggravating to ask permission to be able to leave your driveway. So I'm waiting on an answer. What has happened with the city attorney?
You want me to engage?
Sure. Well, Cletus, can we engage with you after this meeting? Like, literally, are you going to wait the whole meeting?
I'll go out on the sidewalk with them if he wants.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's a little rough for me to sit this long.
Actually, you know what? Allow this time. Go ahead.
Sir, I'll gladly go tell you what's going on outside.
Okay, perfect. All right, yeah, because waiting is, I never know.
Chris, will you go with?
Yeah, I got it.
You're sure?
I got it.
He likes me more than you.
Well,
I guarantee you.
I'll happily explain it.
Okay, I'm going to talk with you then, all right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll refer to you.
Okay, thank you.
thanks, Cletus. Anybody else? All right, we're going to run down to. Brennan.
As Brenda walks up, you guys received that memo in the last packet regarding that address specifically, and staff is still working through that. So it hasn't been added to. Just so you guys remember.
Brent McCarthy. I just want to chat a little bit about an item tonight, Railroad Park. Want to make sure that we're doing things correctly, and my question would be, has IT been contacted about this project, especially since we're looking at a change of venue and how this access is going? We have multiple access on there, and making sure that there's permitted access and what the actual permit numbers are, and also who's been signed off on those projects. contacted has Wendy Howell signed off on these, Sean Thompson, these district engineers, where we need to be doing this correctly because again, it's state highway. I'm also concerned about the pedestrian protection system that we're going to need there. Is that another thing that has been signed off by ITV? So I know this is going to be a topic tonight, but I think these are the things that we need to be addressing because again, it's a state highway and we have some liability issues potentially there. So that's all I wanted to bring up tonight. Thank you.
Dicker?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Decker Sanders, a resident of Mountain Home. Please forgive me, I'm not speaking from prepared remarks tonight. You're getting it off the cuff, so it's going to come maybe a little chaotic. Looking at the agenda tonight, I'm hopeful that when you look at 5, 6, and 7, you might pull those for further discussion. For number 5, you're authorizing a 20-year lease on a piece of property. I think that term may be a little long. You may want to reconsider that. Especially with number 6 when they're asking to sublet. Currently in the documents I've seen provided from your packages, there is no language in either the lease or the authorization to sublease that would prohibit the leasee from charging a higher value to the sublet leasee than what you're charging him. Do you really want someone to be able to make a profit off your facilities? You may wish to discuss that. Number 7, I'm looking forward to hearing the presentation from Clearwater Financial. I've seen the information that's provided in your packages. I'm particularly concerned that this would go through without discussion since they have a heavy emphasis on public input, and yet the very committees most likely to contain common citizens in this city, the Golf Course Advisory Board, the Traffic Safety Board, Parks and Rec Board, are conspicuously currently suspended. Moving on down to the action items for Railroad Park, I cannot tell you the number of times I've had people come up and talk with me about Railroad Park. In my mind now, it's a matter of judgment. It appears you have the finances to do it. Although I will say the agreement I saw for branding has some terms in it I wish I had not seen, and some I wished were there. There's nothing that tells us when the branding starts. There's nothing that says when the last branded item must be placed. Yet it does say every time a branded item is placed in that project, a 15-year clock starts. If you never tell this brander when they have to stop putting a brand on, then that clock's going to continue to roll for every time they update or they put on another mark. That's currently in your agreement. Another thing about Railroad Park that bothers me is, given the current climate in state, when we have a $450 million surplus going to a $50 million deficit, when we've seen the most uncertainty in federal funding we've seen in decades, is this really the right time, and is going to a branding agreement the right way to get the resources you need to move this forward? I would argue not. It doesn't make sense, particularly when we're talking about the after costs that are involved. And by the way, what you received from your administration about the contribution of the city into this project does not take into effect. My time has expired.
Anybody else?
I'll try. Of course, you probably know why I'm here, right? Terry Bendega. I'm here tonight, good evening, Mayor and Council, to share my concerns about the proposed increase in the golf fees. The 4.9% increase feels like the city is trying to slip one over on the patrons out there. By keeping the amount under 5%, you don't have to have a public hearing. And to avoid backlash from the public, I bet most of the people who golf out there have no idea the fees are going to be raised yet again next year. This was supposed to be the year the course finally made it back into the black. But instead, 2025 has been a challenging year at best of the course. Even with the increased rent and utility payments from birdies,
I doubt Desert Canyon will achieve its 2025 revenue budget. There's a big disconnect with the patrons, the city, and the staff. Training and follow-up to ensure all contract terms are being met falls to the city. How many of you actually went out there this year to see if the city and the patrons are getting what they're paying for? These are a few of the things golfers received after last year's rate increases. Restricted play before 10 a.m. on Mondays for course maintenance. Denied tee times on tournament days, hours after the tournament had ended. Dirty rental cars. Incorrect charges and early on cash-only payments. And molded greens for most of the summer. I, for one, did not see any value in my fee increases this year. We lost a lot of players to the men's league, to the Air Force Base, and additional players based off of last year's increases. Do we really want to penalize the patrons who support the course by raising those fees yet again this year? In my opinion, mismanagement on behalf of the city is the reason we're having issues out at Desert Canyon. And I think the city needs to take a good hard look at what's going on out there and listen to your patrons to see how we can improve, because your patrons want to help you. We want that golf course to be successful. We want the young man at Birdie's to be successful. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Anybody else? Ted?
Ted Thompson. I'd like to address the concerns raised by Mr. Sanders about hangar leases. The city doesn't own any hangars for lease, so there's the only way for many airplane owners to have a hangar is to lease one from somebody who owns a hangar. They're very difficult to make any money on. I spent a lot of time looking, and I had some friends working that we hopefully could build some hangars. Very difficult to pencil that out to make money. And I've talked to Mr. Fowler because I was very much interested in moving our Civil Air Patrol squadron into his facilities that he's purchased. It would have been a perfect fit for us. But the amount he had to pay for that, our Civil Air Patrol volunteer organization with no support couldn't come up with money to make that financially viable for him. So I am a Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association Airport Support Network volunteer. I can bring to the council some information, perhaps some people to come talk about getting the right mix of the amount of money you make off of leases and affordability for the people who will lease them. So I'm happy to help arrange that in any way I can. So, and I will work with Mr. Sanders as well and talk with him. Hopefully increase everybody's knowledge. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, we're going to run down to conflict of interest declaration. As the council member received 2 information pertaining to or otherwise had any contact with persons regarding any items on this city council agenda. If so, please set forth nature of contact.
Mayor,
Councilwoman Wirkkala?
received an email from Rod Dudley regarding new business number 2 and Ted Thompson regarding old business number 1, and there's no conflict of interest.
Mayor. Councilman Harjo? Same. Councilwoman Garvey? Okay. All right. Presentation. We're going to run down to presentation by Clearwater Financial regarding the master's facility and comprehensive financial planning project.
We have a presentation. Can we put it in the drive?
Sure. All of these.
Also have printouts.
They've got all the printouts.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Sharon, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good. Thank you, Mayor and Council. We're excited to be here tonight. Well, that gets pulled up. I'll introduce myself. I'm Sheridan Sylvester, Municipal Advisor Representative with Clearwater Financial, and I'm here with my colleague Christy Stoll, who's also a Municipal Advisor Representative and a VP at Clearwater. We are here to give a presentation on master facilities and comprehensive financial planning. This has been identified in our conversations with staff as something that they're interested in pursuing to help the city plan for the future. Before we get into that, we did have a little plaque. A couple months ago, we helped the city close the financing for the fiber optic LID. We have a little commemorative plaque for you guys, so we wanted to just give that to you. I'll hand that to you. Yep. But yeah, we're really excited to work with the city on that.
Councilman Harjo, really quick, I'm sorry to interrupt. Get the USB to connect, is it the same documentation we have in our?
Yes, it is.
Just
Okay.
just gotta try it 3 times.
Oh, you're good.
Talk about it.
You're good.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you. So yeah, a quick outline of the presentation. We'll give a quick re-intro of ourselves as Clearwater. I know Wood Cameron has been here and presented before. A quick introduction of ourselves and the partners that we will be working on this project with. And then we'll get into a little bit of what master facilities plans are, and then open it up for questions. So if we go to, yep, perfect. So we're Clearwater Financial. We are a municipal advisor and municipal advisory and consulting firm that aims to help individuals and governments achieve their potential, and we aim to be a go-to for government support. And if you flip to the next slide, we've been around since about 2016. We are Idaho's only headquartered municipal advisory firm. What that means is that we're registered with the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, and as a municipal advisory firm, we have a couple, we are a fiduciary to the city, and we have a couple of duties to you. One of those is a duty of loyalty, which means that we have to act in the best interest of our clients, which would be you, the city. And we also have a duty of care, which means that whatever we say we can do, we have to actually be able to do. And we take these duties very seriously and really want to do what's best for the city. The next slide is just our principals. We have Christy here, and then our president, Cameron Ariel, and our chief operating officer, Jace Perry. The next slide, so part of master's facility planning would include an assessment of buildings. Clearwater, we have a lot of skill sets, but we're not architects. So we would be partnering with an architect firm on this project, and we plan to partner with Erstad, which is an architect firm headquartered in Boise. So the next few slides is just a little quick introduction to them, and then resumes of their 2 principals who will be working on the project. And I won't go into detail of that. I'll leave you guys to look that over on your own. We would also be working with Anderson Construction, who would be doing cost estimating services on this project. So we have an idea of the different scenarios, what they would cost, and help plan the financial piece of things. And again, it's a few resumes from them to help give you a background of their company.
And let me, if you don't mind, I'll just interject really quickly, and it will be covered in this. When we, involving an architecture firm as well as a cost estimating firm is not obligating you to do anything in the future. It just, as Sheridan has mentioned, we would be evaluating every single building you have to show all of the advantages and disadvantages those buildings have. You would get a detailed report, if you will, on each building. So that's what the architects would do. It's not necessarily saying that they're going to design for you. That would be a separate conversation in the future. As well as cost estimating, that comes into once we have some scenarios for you and we look at potential projects that you want to prioritize, we would then have our cost estimator help us understand a potential cost of the base price. So just to clarify.
Thank you. And also I just wanted to say Erstad and Anderson would be subcontracted under us, so that would be all wrapped up in the contract that you have to consider for approval later in the agenda. So this next slide is just a view of kind of our comprehensive process. So as I mentioned before, we aim to be a go-to for government support. We want to be able to help our clients get from the planning phase all the way through the completion phase of projects. So you can see there's kind of 4 different sections here. We'll be hanging out in the first quadrant, which is planning, and then we can help guide the city through the next phases if you would like. Again, that's a later discussion, but going through engaging, figuring out how to fund the project, and then getting through construction. And as you can see, we really believe in the importance of public engagement and want that to be an emphasis throughout every phase. But like I said, we'll be hanging out in that first quadrant, which is planning. So the next slide, first off, just kind of why capital improvement and financial plan. There's a few different reasons for this. First of all, it's a good starting point to just kind of assess what facilities the city has and the resources to provide the services that the city provides, and determine where the city's at and where they'd like to be going. It's a good opportunity to help create awareness and educate the public on what the city does and the resources they have as well. And it's an opportunity to forecast, to look into the future. How much is the city's population going to grow? How is that going to change the demand for services and the resources that they need? And this is an opportunity to plan for that future. And then we also include a comprehensive financial plan with our master facilities plan. So how to actually fund the projects that are identified in the plan. The next slide kind of just adds to the previous some of the benefits of a facilities plan. So like I mentioned, it helps the city have a long-term outlook. So they can really be projecting, planning into the future, and consciously prepare for the future. It allows the city to help evaluate risks and how to mitigate those risks, and really just kind of helps the city look at the big picture and have a vision for the future. It also will provide some evaluation tools and decision-making tools. So part of what will be provided will, again, assess the buildings. If there are issues with electrical or accessibility issues with any of your buildings, we'll provide that information in detailed breakouts. We'll provide a demographic report, various data points like that that will provide a lot of information to the city to, again, help make decisions as they move forward. And then it also offers an opportunity, again, to engage with the public and communicate with them and where the city's at and where they're hoping to go.
And I might add, one of the very first things that we do as the first report is the demographic report. It's typically a very deep dive into where you are now with the population, where we expect you to go. We look at everything from education levels to the different industries that are growing in your area, to the different income levels that have been here, education levels, and so forth. So it would help you plan not only for your facilities, but it can help you plan for grants. It can help you plan for a lot of other things. It's a really useful document, a meaty document. And then on some of the things that come out of this process as a whole, as Sheridan was saying, is sometimes things come up that you may or may not be aware of. You might have a situation where maybe one of your pieces of land doesn't meet FEMA. We have that with several clients where they want to remodel something, and so then we do the analysis on what are those mitigation things that you need to consider and so forth. So there's a lot of things that you don't know going in, or we don't know necessarily going in, but we need the outputs during the process. Thank you, Chrissy. So the next slide just kind of outlines there's essentially 3 main parts of the process and of the plan. The first is the facility plan, so assessing the facilities and planning for short-term and long-term needs. The second would be the financial plan, so again, how do you actually make these projects happen? How do you fund them? And then the third and most important that runs throughout the whole process is the public engagement piece. Communicating with the public, getting their input, making sure that they understand
understand the plan, the needs of the city, and support that.
I was just going to say, during that process, which we'll come back to in a little bit, is a citizens committee. We typically recommend that we bring together a group of folks that would be involved in this process, as well as we do several stakeholder reviews, typically 12 or 14, depending on what the city wants to do. But that is also important, in addition to press releases and social media.
So the next few slides are just kind of going into the details of what this process looks like, how it works. We kind of start high level and then we'll get into a bit more detailed. High level, we kind of have 5 phases that we'll go through for the process. Initiate, analyze, build, recommend, and implement. And again, I'll kind of go through a bit more what each of those phases entails as we go on. But essentially, the next slide is a little bit more detail into that, but still pretty high level. We'll essentially identify and inventory the city's assets, the needs. We'll prioritize projects, forecast into the future, and then create the plan and have updates as we go along. Whoever's on the slide is doing great. So this slide has a little Gantt chart of what the project would look like and the breakout of the phases. We anticipate this project taking about 14 months. Of course, that timeline can vary, but that is what we're anticipating as of right now. And you'll see there's a little bit of a breakdown of tasks under each phase. So again, these are pretty high level, but you can get an idea of what will happen. So initiation, we'll get project logistics done. What's the communication plan? Who's on the project team? What's the timeline? We'll do campus tours, so we'll go visit all of the sites and really start gathering data, reviewing the documentation and what the city kind of has and has done previously. During the analysis phase, we'll continue collecting data and we'll start to assess. So we'll do interviews, like Christy said. We'll do stakeholder interviews, both internal stakeholders, so with department heads, and external stakeholders. We'll put together a citizens committee and they'll meet several times throughout the process. We'll start analyzing the sites and going through the information we learned on campus tours, and then we'll do the demographics report that Christy talked about as well. The build phase is when we start to look at kind of space allocation. We'll look at different scenarios if you were to do, you know, this kind of project or this kind of project, and the pros and cons of all of that. And we'll start prioritizing the different projects. And again, this is based on the feedback that we get from the city and also from the public.
One of the things that sometimes comes out of this is that maybe you have a department or a building that feels tight on space, and this oftentimes will reveal if that's true or not. There are guidelines for how much space should be per person and waiting rooms and restrooms and all the sort. And it could be that you might have adequate space, but maybe it's ill configured. So a remodel could help. Sometimes we find in cities and counties that the furniture is very large, and so repurposing right-sized furniture can really help the space too. So it's not always about rebuilding something or having a new building. It's really looking at what you have and seeing the highest and best use. And then project conclusion will again be kind of identifying, putting together those priorities, putting together the actual plan, and presenting that. And then we've also included annual implementation. We really want this plan to be something that's actually put into action, and part of that will include every year, ideally, or every few years, coming back to the plan, seeing what progress has been made, if any updates need to be made, things like that. And again, we'll kind of touch base on that again in a minute. So again, public engagement is a very important piece throughout the process. It's something that we'll do in every single phase because again, we want the public to really understand the city's needs and be supportive of the project and feel like they are involved in the process. Like has been mentioned earlier, some of the ways we do that is we'll do stakeholder interviews, we'll put together a citizens committee,
We'll do a public survey. We'll have a web page that will host lots of information on it, like such as the demographic report, the different materials that we put together, social posts, press releases, maybe some events, things like that. Really help engage the public.
A good example is if you have your fair, you can have flyers out there that this is going, or whatever event that you're doing. Christmas bazaar.
Yeah. Slide 20 is just outlining the main stakeholders, the main players in the project and in the process. So you'll have a plan, directors, kind of an internal city team member who can help lead the project on the city's end, attending our meetings, etc. Elected officials, your end, you'll help look through the plans, approve the plan at the end of it, set policy and things like that. Internal stakeholders, so the department heads will help us understand the facility needs. The Citizens Advisory Committee and external stakeholders will help provide input. And then the consultants, which is us, Stad and Anderson, would help obviously lead through the project and take the city through the process. So the next few slides are just kind of a bit more detail. Like I said, we kind of started high level of the process, and now this is a little bit more detail. So for example, when we inventory the assets, what exactly are we going to do? What are we going to say? We're going to assess the facilities, right? What's working, what's not working, what conditions are they in, what are the pros and cons of each facility, what's the purpose of each facility, and does it meet the needs of the public and of the staff? And we'll have kind of a write-up of all of those to help kind of spell it out. In communications with staff, we identified 5 facilities that would be the main focus of this plan. Those being City Hall, Fire, Police, Public Works, and Parks and Recreation. And then slide 23 is just some of the criteria we consider when, after we do all the assessments, kind of identify some projects and scenarios, then how do we prioritize those and rank those? And these are some of the criteria we consider when helping the city prioritize. So for example, highest priority would be things that are legally required, improve public safety, they reduce expenses, and they benefit the majority of residents. You have that all the way down to the lowest priority for things where maybe the demand for services is declining, or it's a nice to have thing, but not necessarily essential or not necessarily really wanted by the public. And then what we consider to be one of the most important parts of this process is the financial plan aspect of it. So again, we want this plan to be implementable, and a big part of that is funding the projects, the identified projects. So we would assess the city's kind of financial situation and the different funding mechanisms that the city could use to help fund the projects.
And additionally, we do forecast out for costs today, and we forecast out if we wait 5 years, if we wait 10 years, just show you what the inflationary costs are, because there is a cost of doing nothing. And so just so you're informed, then you can think about that.
And the facilities plan as well, it's not like we need to do all these projects right now, right? It will timeline out in the next 5 years, maybe work on this, 5 to 10 years, work on this, things like that. And of course, that can change and evolve as things progress, without kind of being mapped out as a guide. And then this last slide, 25, is just kind of a summary of what would be included in kind of each project in the plan. So we describe the project, the existing condition of the facility, kind of where we're at right now, the goals and benefits of the project, again, the timeline, and then funding mechanisms. And then wrapping up, we would get approval of the plan and finalize. And then like I mentioned earlier, we want it to be implementable. So part of that includes regular updates, right? There's no point of going through a planning process if you just never look at it again. So we want it to be a plan that every year or regularly the city will go back to look at to again, see what progress has been made, if there have been any changes in the community that need to be considered, and what updates need to be made to the plan as well. And this is in line with the Government Financial Officers Association best practice of reviewing plans each year as things evolve. And then a few notes just on best practice. So again, planning is important, and being strategic in that planning, looking into the future, developing a financial plan along with that to make sure that the plan is implementable, and then looking at those different aspects, capital improvement, facilities, and then budgeting. And then this second to last slide is just a summary. So essentially 3 areas. We're going to assess and analyze the facilities, we're going to engage the public, and we're going to come up with a plan that we can execute. Anything else? All right. That's our presentation. If you guys have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Mayor?
Councilwoman Garvey?
Quick question. In all of this planning, will there be any identification of where these possible new facilities might go? Are there going to be land identification, area, any of that?
That can certainly be part of it. Every plan like this is uniquely different depending on who the client is. So if that is something that you need help with identifying, if you know for sure, hey, we need an extra building, whatever that might be for, or the current location of this building doesn't work, that can be part of the discussion. And that we can also include your citizens committee on that as well. If anybody has any idea, we can help you crunch numbers as to acquiring the land and what that looks like, cost-wise, and so forth.
It's not up to me to decide if that's needed in this presentation. It was just a question. I think it's a very important question because we just don't have a lot of possibilities in Mountain Home. So I don't know, Tiffany, Curtis, maybe it is something that we should have in this plan, because we could have this great master plan of all these buildings and improvements, but if we don't have anywhere to put them, then we're still left with no implementation. So.
Go ahead, Tiff.
Just to kind of dialogue a little bit, Councilwoman Garvey, that's exactly the purpose that the intention of thus far with Clearwater is to move in that direction. Like, do we need one large building? Do we need several off buildings? How do we get collectively from us, the governing body, the employee, staff, and the public find the direction that's right? Like obtaining the real estate, how many facilities do we need? Like that's what we need. And not only that, I think the data on what we currently occupy is viable too, because like what was suggested is maybe it's not configured properly in some of our locations. And those will work, you know, like, so I think there's a lot to come of it than kind of what we've already thrown around, I guess, in previous discussions, if that makes sense.
Councilwoman Wirkkala?
So this is coming back up, I see, on, actually, no,
It's on consent.
we would have to, okay. So questions should be now, maybe, huh?
I guess what's your question?
So we got our packet. In our packet, it didn't have addendum number 1. That now sitting down at city council,
Yeah.
I've seen it for the first time.
Okay.
And so I'm all about numbers, right? And so it says here that it's going to cost.
The number on the exhibit at the very back page.
This first page wasn't there.
The first page
This
wasn't
stuff,
there.
That's what I'm talking
the
about,
number at
this
the
page.
end.
But the number,
It's
the
at the
value
end.
was at the very end of the exhibit document.
The 100.
Correct.
19, but then did it also say if approved by November 30th, 25?
Yeah.
So what's the price after that?
And that would be in discussions with the city about
Yeah,
that can be postponed
yeah.
for a while.
Yes, I mean, certainly if, I wouldn't necessarily say, we've got I would say it's probably the same price.
But
That number was the same with when it was previously drafted with an October 31st date.
Yes.
However, it will be treated no different than the Keller and Associates task orders, where it's a pay-as-you-go, not to exceed that number.
That's just.
So currently what is allocated in the budget administratively was $41,000 in this fiscal year, in just admin. And that is what would be allocated this budget cycle into this project, or this study.
Councilwoman Garvey?
So if I understand you correctly, what I'm hearing you say is we don't have this whole entire 119 budgeted.
Not,
It's a pay-as-you-go, we currently have $41,000. But we're signing a contract that says we're going to spend $119,000. So are we, okay, so are we binding a future council to approve this contract that was signed that we don't have the money for, that's not been budgeted for the next fiscal budget?
potentially. However,
No, if it's not budgeted.
yeah, if it's not budgeted and
Did we break a contract with Clearwater that we signed?
But your contract has a non-appropriation clause in it, right? Like all of our contracts should have.
I don't see anything in here that says that.
So,
Not on this agenda.
Mayor and we do, as you mentioned, it's bill as you go, meaning we will do some work, we will bill you for the work. We will do some work, we will bill you for some work. So it would, and you, I suppose, would be in a situation where we can't finish the project, right? Because we wouldn't then, we had spoken ahead of time, so we know in this next fiscal year, there's $41,000 left for this project. So we would plan for not to exceed that amount of money for this fiscal year, unless something else came available in your budget. And then we would then relook wherever we are in the process for your next fiscal budget. And then I suppose we would be in a situation where we would have to pause the project.
Councilwoman Garvey?
The project sounds lovely. However, this is where I have the problem with it. If we allow for $41,000 of work, because that's what we currently have left in our budget, and then two of us are not here anymore, two more people are coming on, and they decide, we don't want your project, then we have wasted $41,000 on step A of your project, and then we're out the money. So, I don't know, I would prefer a cleaner contract that spells out what we will achieve for $41,000, first and foremost. What can we achieve for that amount of money? Because all we have right here is what we can achieve for the total amount. And then kind of a go forward from there, what it would look like. And then I would feel more comfortable even saying yes to this. But right now, I think it's very money. And we could waste $41,000 on potentially nothing that will help us.
Councilman Harjo?
I definitely hear that perspective. However, across just about every other faction of our city operation, we bind ourselves and future councils to financial decisions that we make today, whether that be equipment or golf carts, task orders with engineering firms, contracts with contractors of the city. It's no different in those senses. When Councilwoman Wirkkala and I came on, we adopted a budget that we did not have any part in. It is kind of the nature of the beast with how municipal government, a revolving door of elected official, tends to happen. I think this is something that we've all had discussion about, especially over the last few budget cycles, of where is the plan, what are the needs, how are we going to meet those needs, what inventories we have. This seems to be the key to unlocking that information with pretty much one fell swoop here over the course of that roughly 14 months.
Councilwoman Garvey?
When you bind a future council with equipment, it's in the CIP and it's spelled out how long it's going to take to pay off. So it has to roll over to each budget. This is a totally different scenario. This is, we have $41,000 right now. We're signing a contract for $119,000, and potentially when budget talks come around in July, it may not be funded in its entirety. This is a totally different situation than when we buy equipment and leases and those types of things. Those show up on our budget indefinitely until they're paid off.
Councilman Harjo.
As with task orders.
Councilman Brennan.
This feels fairly repetitive to me for what the work we've already done. Fire chief in the back, haven't you gone through a recent study of your building as to how it can be improved and, you know, built onto and all that?
Mayor, Council, yes, we have started the process. We have done a study as far as our current building. We have not reached out in terms of where we can build or not build, and we looked at both phases in terms of going out, or we looked at going up. And we don't have the firm readings back from our findings. It has to be looked at by an engineer whether or not the going up would be the course of that action. So that's where we're at with our current building. But we have been working on future growth for the fire department, so we've had a lot of conversations about that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't we engage a professional about how much expected growth the city is going to have? It fell way short, I think.
That was
And
Westcott.
For your impactees.
Yeah.
That's all I have for now. I'm going to save the rest of my comments until the items on the agenda, which I intend to pull up for new business.
Councilwoman.
So your name, the company's name, Clearwater Financial, what jogged my memory was that you're the entity that went to try to secure the loan for L81, correct? Am I speaking?
They're our financial advisor that helped us with that.
Through the same company, or is that?
Yes, they're hired by the city to be a financial advisor
Sure.
to us.
Yes.
Right, and so that's where I recognize
Yes.
the connection there. Were you guys able to secure that? I'm sorry, that loan? I don't remember where we were at with that.
Yeah, it's finalized.
It's finalized?
Yeah, we've done all that.
Have we? Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Any other questions for Sharon or Christine? Ladies?
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thanks, and let us know, you know, there might be an opportunity if there's things that you have already done for us to consider that, and if there is reports and so forth, we certainly can work with those.
Perfect.
thank you.
Thank you.
Are you sticking around for the final discussion of this?
We have
No?
we have another council meeting to be at, but we certainly could probably dive in.
No,
If there's questions.
I'm curious.
Yeah. Do you know about what time I'm thinking?
No, we never know.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all good though.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Say
council.
thank you.
We're going to run down to the consent agenda. I know there's a few items that are going to be pulled. So, Councilman Brennan.
Can I pull items 4 and 7 off the consent agenda, please?
Councilman Harjo.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda, pulling items number 4 and 7.
Second.
Been motion and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Aye.
Councilman Brennan.
Aye.
Councilwoman Garvey.
Okay.
Right. We're going to run down to old business, action item deliberations regarding frequency congestion at Mountain Home Airport. Council, what do you want to do?
Mayor?
Councilwoman Garvey?
I would like to see this item approved regarding changing the frequency to, I think it's 122.9 from 122.8. So I'm making a motion that we just approve that.
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo?
122.9 is already spoken for. terms of that's the backcountry frequency defined by the FAA. We can't change to that.
Mayor,
So, Councilwoman Garvey?
scratch that I said 122.9. I'm making a motion that we approve changing the frequency.
Okay.
Mayor?
Councilwoman Wirkkala?
Would the maker of the motion add to that to use Tom Mahoney, the administrator of Idaho Division Aeronautics, as a point of contact to assist with those changes?
Sure. Mayor, I will make a motion to approve changing the frequency at the Mount Home Airport, adding that we rely on Tom Mahoney, who spoke to us 2 city council meetings ago, with his help to implement the change and implement it in a timely manner.
Second.
Been motion and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing now, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Garvey?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wirkkala?
Aye.
Councilman Harjo?
Nay.
Councilman Brennan?
I'm gonna put in my 2 cents really quick, if you don't mind. I'm not against changing the frequency, but I'm not quite there yet in my willpower to vote for that. Yes, we've had time, but not that I need more time, but I think maybe the first step may be more of like the weather station. So I'm not against the motion, but I'm not going to vote for it today. I'm going to vote for nay.
Mayor votes nay. Now, I'll tell everybody sitting up here, if that is the will of the council, that they really want it. My thought process was get rid of the weather, the outdated, non-certified weather to relieve the, was it like the 13 to 16% call volume or whatever clicks it was, and then come back. But I would like to utilize Toby Epler, our engineer, and then Tom, our airport manager, and then Chris Curtis, and have Toby, Tom, and Chris. If this body chooses that that's what they want, nothing against Tom Mahoney. I think he could be a part of the process. You might be able to change my vote, but here as it stands, that's where I'm at. Councilman.
Can I make a couple comments too?
Absolutely.
Just on that, there was a lot of comments made about liability on this topic, and I think the nature of liability scares everybody. In my mind, though, liability is equal with either direction that we go. If we change the frequency and there's a crash, it's our fault because we changed it. If we do nothing and there's congestion and there's a crash, it's our fault, right? I mean, the fingers are always going to be pointed at us, but ultimately, I think it's the pilot, right, who gets to make sure they're listening and being patient for like the directions that come over the radio, whether you're clearing yourself for takeoff or landing or whatever it be. So let's not push liability like it's harder on one side than it is the other.
So we'll run down to old business number 2, approve the general max price for Railroad Park project and authorize GUHO to proceed with project. Council-elect Sanders actually brought up a pretty good point. I didn't think about the time clock branding, but I think after discussion, or a couple of discussions, that the Railroad Park project, I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tiffany, that time bank would start once the project was completed, right? I didn't even read that portion in that contract.
Mayor, my assumption by the way legal had wrote it is they would brand everything at the start of the project, and like when we signed off and said project complete, that's when it starts. Not every time they do a logo change.
Right.
We
Okay.
do a new one.
Mayor?
I'm not the author of it.
Paul, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I forgot me already, okay. I also listened to Decker's comment on that, and when I read the contract, that isn't what I thought. I kind of saw the term as a 15-year term.
but if Decker was able to read it in that way, that means somebody else probably could too. So I think that it's probably appropriate to, if somebody is inclined to approve or make a motion to approve it, that the motioner would say it with change. I'm sorry, I don't have it right in front of me, but with changes to the term to be a 15-year term, and then where it says that the improvements could be made, that the improvements can occur, but no later than the term of 15 years. Does that make sense? So if they wait 11 years to install something, the term of the contract is still 4. There's only 4 more to go. And that would be a way that we can resolve the 2 different ways that we're interpreting this.
Copy that. Councilman Brennan.
Just as a matter of order of business, could we move the contract authorization below the deliberation decision for the proposed donation and branding agreement?
Paul, did you hear that? Can we move the item number 2 in old business and put it under
Yes, you can.
business number 2? So is that a motion, Council?
Yeah, it makes it. When I was reading it, it didn't flow right to me either. So, yeah, just do a motion to amend the agenda. This is not a material change to the agenda. You're just literally flipping items because it makes more logical sense.
Councilman Brennan.
I'll make a motion to move old business item number 2 to right below new business number 2.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Garvey.
Aye.
Councilman Brennan.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get out of that one and we'll go right to new business items removed from the consent agenda. Councilman Brennan, item number 4.
Chris, could you help us understand the reason for these changes?
So, Mayor, Council, the 2 significant changes on here, the first change that we did was to the fiber connection installation fee, and this is for people that are outside of the LIDs that want to connect to the fiber. We didn't change the $3,600 fee, but we reduced the $36 per foot past the first 100 foot down to 20, and that's just based on the cost that it's been costing us to do it. So we lowered the price down to make it more affordable and match more what we're actually spending per foot. The other one, the more significant one, in the original resolution, we had a separate fee for residential and commercial. It doesn't make sense to charge separate fees for residential and commercial when they all get the same service. So we wanted to create one fee for both. And then per the directions in the resolution, we're supposed to look at this annually and make sure that it's adjusted for inflation. We haven't done that until this point. It's the first time we've looked at that. And the cost increase, which I understand is significant, is based on facts like the concrete boxes that we use when we're installing the conduit. They used to be $300 in 2020. Now they're $1,000. The yard boxes that we use, when we bought those in 2020, were $100. Now they're $300. So we've seen the increase across the board in all of the materials related to the project. Plus, we brought on another employee. And so this is all intended to make sure that fiber pays for fiber and only fiber pays for fiber. So that's what this is based on.
Can you help me understand the difference between section 1 and section 4, which is the $3,600 fee versus the $2,400 fee?
So the $3,600 fee is a fee that is charged to a single resident if they want to bring fiber to their home outside of an LID. Okay. When we initially set this up, we were using that number as the target, knowing that we were shooting for $3,500 in LIDs. So this $3,600 fee was established so that you don't get a person that's in the LID that says, hey, I'm going to wait until the ID closes and I'm going to get my connection for free. So But that's the cost that it costs us to run the installation to the building. It's the conduit, the fiber, the boxes, all that kind of stuff is tied into that. So that's that $3,600 fee. The $2,400 fee would be the developer fees that we're having the developers pay when they're bringing in new development. This is the fee that they pay tied in with the rest of their building permit fees.
It could be a single home build, right?
They are,
For that price.
Absolutely.
So essentially the 3,600 is an existing home or business.
Right.
That came back to it. And
Correct.
the $2,400 is new construction.
New construction and subdivision, yeah. And it's less because the subdivisions put in a conduit and that kind of stuff. Whereas we have to do all of the installation if it's my house, because I'm not in an elected.
So that's acting on the assumption that the developer really did put in the conduit.
Oh, we verify it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we verify it.
And if they haven't put that in, is there something that they fall into for
So
pricing?
sorry, Tim, I see you raising your hand, but all the developers, Corey Barton, Hubble, whoever it is, they can't actually final plat until we verify they have conduit. So that's never gonna happen.
Okay.
We verify it, we confirm it. We're actually working on bringing a new ordinance to the council that will give some more teeth to that piece of the puzzle as well, because we have some shortfalls we need to address.
Okay. So what about outside the big developers? Just one person putting in a building permit for their home?
Councilman Brennan, number 4 specifically says developer fee with a development agreement.
There's a developer.
So they have to have the agreement or they don't qualify. So a new home construction would not qualify because they don't have a development agreement, a
Okay.
single dwelling.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So they would fall into one.
Okay.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So that $2,400 is not a high hope. It's a realistic
It's a
cost of
realistic
what it is costing the city.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are we pricing ourselves out of people's joining?
Yeah.
And this is, council just to set a public hearing too. It wasn't to approve this fee, we still gotta hear from the public. Good. Council, any other questions? Councilman Brennan?
Make a motion to set a public hearing for December 9th, 2025 to clarify and increase the developer fee on private.
Second. It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo? Aye. Councilwoman Wirkkala?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan? Aye. Councilwoman Garvey?
Aye.
Run down to, number 7. Sorry, Councilman Brennan. Item number 7.
Process change too. I've been a huge advocate, I think Tiffany would say, of the facilities plan, knowing that we're bursting at the seams here. And I'm gonna say this with all due respect, is that I think this is a lot of fluff in this presentation, and a lot of answers that aren't getting answered, other than we'll see, we'll look, if you want, we'll try. I'm not going to support this request today. Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
I'm going to make a motion to deny the addendum 1 with Clearwater Financial for the Master Facilities Comprehensive Financial Plan.
Second?
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes,
Mayor.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Garvey?
When it does come back, if it does come back, which I'm assuming it will, I would like to see the verbiage in the addendum that we're signing to be more clear. It doesn't say that we pay for services as they go. There's a lot of stuff in here that was not put into this addendum that makes me uncomfortable to even proceed. And also, I think there needs to be a clause in there that releases the city of liability if we don't commit fully for funding for the next budget cycle. So I just think there's a little things that need to be critiqued on this addendum.
Councilman Harjo, over you. Councilman Harjo, sorry.
The same sentiment. It's based on our input. Clearly the desire is to wrap around what the current budget reflects. that will entail us in terms of what we'll receive for those funds.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Jeff, before I make.
I'm sorry, the motion was to deny it at this time. What does, that means it doesn't come back. So is it tabled to
So do
then
you want me to bring it back, council, with
Or
more detail?
or we're reallocating? I'm sorry, I just need direction because
Councilwoman Garvey?
You know, by the time it gets back, I legit probably won't be sitting here. However, I mean, I wouldn't like to see it go away fully. I just think it needs to be clarified more. Also, too, like they said, well, we can add in the land part of it. Well, I feel like that's a pretty important piece of the entire plan. And so, I mean, I could be okay with it being tabled so that it doesn't go away indefinitely right now.
Mayor, that's like there's two that have engaged in that, and then two that obviously motioned. So
I
just
stand
need
by my
direction.
second.
So,
I'm fine with it.
okay, we'll call for the question. Councilman Brennan.
Is the motion that I made
To deny.
not clear? Like, just, is there any muddy water in that motion? I'll clarify it if I need to.
Mayor,
Councilman, well, hang on a second. Councilman Harjo.
Councilman Brennan, the way I understood your motion was that this was a motion to deny this outright at this point, and not with any intent to bring us back. Is that correct?
That's my motion. I'm not impressed.
All right, it's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wirkkala?
Aye.
Councilwoman Garvey?
Aye.
Councilman Harjo?
I disagree with the sentiment of putting this off indefinitely. This council has talked about the importance of planning and oversight, and I think this was an excellent step forward in that direction, albeit maybe needing a little bit of side rails. I'm going to vote nay.
All right, we're going to run down to action item number 2. So, Councilman Brennan, just for clarification, did you want the max price to go first, or did you want the action item to the branding agreement first?
The Mayor, the branding agreement first. I'm not going to vote on a contract until we have an agreement signed.
Okay, so then with that, I will go with action item deliberation decision on proposed donation and branding agreement for Railroad Park Plaza project. Authorize the mayor to sign. Councilman Brennan. Sorry.
Mayor, to be honest here, is I don't feel like there's anything new from last. Sorry, I'm trying to get to that page. The last meeting is we have an agreement before us, which I am 100% on board with submitting to the proposed donor for approval. Without that signed, I don't think there's any further discussion to be had.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Wirkkala?
So let's talk about this.
Mayor, excuse me 1 second.
Yeah.
Can we have AB and Randy come up, maybe to clarify any questions on Blue Ray's behalf since they showed up for us tonight? Please?
I was doing rock, scissors, paper to see who would go up there.
No, both.
She asked both of us.
I said both of you guys.
Good evening.
Fine gentlemen.
So really quick,
Mayor,
gentlemen.
council.
Good evening, guys. Good evening. I appreciate you making it in today. Councilwoman Wirkkala?
Hi.
Hi.
So I went back to your presentation on April 9th, 2024, and I wrote down verbatim everything you said. I had my quotations. I presented that, I think it was it 2 meetings ago? And so I can recap it again, I guess, really quick, so refresh your memory.
One question?
Yes.
April of 24,
April 9th, 2024.
refresh my memory.
Okay.
It's a long time ago.
Yes. So, $634,000 budget annually on a tax increment revenue. This is the number that you got from the county assessor. Portion of the tax revenues that are diverted to the URA per Title 50, Chapter 29. There's $634,000 revenue stream that is from the Marathon Cheese. Admin costs annually $95,000. Net that out, and each year there is a positive cash flow of $538,000. You said the URA district by law must disband by 2031. So with 6 years of revenue from 25 to 31, if the URA doesn't commit to any other projects, if Marathon Cheese stays in Mountain Home, if Marathon Cheese pays their taxes, URA will generate another $3.2 million of cash in the bank. You said at the end of the life of the URA, there will be about $5.4 million in the bank. And then this is a verbatim quote. If the life of the URA and we take on no other projects, we can fund this project in its entirety. So that's what we approved on that date. Then 2 meetings ago, we were presented in our consent agenda a budget breakdown by GUHO of what it would cost to do the project. There were no numbers next to the in-kind work for City of Mountain Home. We tabled that project, brought it back today, and the numbers now say that their total city in-kind is $522,048. So the question I guess I had was, what's going on? It sounds like the project's now being rushed to be finished by what month of next year? To be complete, instead of what was presented and what we approved on, when do you want this project done by?
Well, we wanted it done by, what day was that, Tiff? It was
A year ago.
What was it?
A year ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's not talk about
Yeah, okay.
But hang on a second.
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day, that's the day I was trying to think of,
Okay.
Memorial Day.
for 2026.
Yeah.
Okay, so Memorial Day of 2026. And that's if we do the in-kind work with what has been presented and the donation. I'm sorry, I'm looking at Tiff because you know all. So do you see my confusion where this is what was presented, this is what council voted on April of 2024, and then all of a sudden on the agenda it is presented as, let's get this done, let's not phase it out anymore. We have a donor. This is the amount of in-kind work it's going to cost this taxpayers to do it, even though I don't even know where it's going to come out of the budget book that we approved back in July. So I guess my question is for everybody: what is the plan? Because I guess I am not apprised of the current plan. So, and I actually don't think this is a URA problem. I think this is a city problem too. So this is no attack on the URA. But anyway, go ahead.
We have, was there a question there somewhere?
No.
You look at me. I think, I think you're almost 100% accurate of what I said back in 24. I don't dispute any of that at all.
Sure.
We have, after administrative expenses, a positive cash flow each year, right? We have committed $2.8 million of cash at this point in time to the Railroad Park project that's been in the works for somewhat, right? What's changed in this, and again, I can't speak for the city and this in-kind stuff, but what's changed is that the mayor and Tiff and Randy made a presentation to Pioneer a few months ago to try and ask them to fund the building. I wasn't at the meeting. The takeaway is that they came back and said, you know, if we could do some branding, we might be able to give you $2.0 million to speed the project up, and instead of phasing it over 1 to 5 years, to get it done in 1 6-month period, this fall through next spring's construction season. If you all approve that branding, then that frees up approximately $2 million of future URA income from the tax differential for us to put back into any other projects that fit inside the URA district. So it doesn't really matter to me if you approve the branding or not. Don't take that the wrong way. We can fund this over the next 5 years, but you have a way to fund it with Pioneer's donation and our $2.8 million, and get this done quickly, and have $2 million more for us to spend on different projects. I can't speak to the in-kind stuff. That's That's nothing to do with
No, 100%.
the URA.
Councilwoman?
Yeah, so what this is bringing us current, right? Bringing the council current on what the new plan was, because that was not what I thought the plan was. I thought it was going to be a phased out approach. When I look at the schematics of the branding, I don't like it. I don't. Honestly, council, this is what I say. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to go for the donation at all. I'm going to go for what was generated from the URA, what's going to be able to be paid for only by the URA, what we have voted on, phase it out with the next 5 years, and 5 or 6 years, and just like, I use this example, I guess elementary example, was I don't tear down my house and I just build it back up from scratch, right? I do home improvements with every tax return I get, right? I will home improve my bathroom, my backyard, whatever. And that's how I would look at this park. Phase it out, put in an improvement every year. It would look like the city's constantly improving itself every year, instead of taking on, because when I heard a donation, I'm like, something comes with a donation. There's always a catch. And when I saw the image of what's going to be donated, turning the Mountain Home green sign all blue, man, you look from a satellite view and you probably see it from across the world. It's got blue on it, everything's blue. Peas being stamped into the whole back wall, peas being put everywhere. It's going to now be called the Pioneer Depot. So yeah, I mean, you know me, I don't beat around the bush. I'm flat out no for the branding, no for the donation. Keep going on with the URA in a phased approach.
Councilwoman Garvey?
Okay. So I will respectfully disagree. When somebody's going to give you $2 million, you take $2 million. My problem is not with the donors. It's not with the URA. Again, I 100%. This is a city issue. It's not a URA issue. My problem is the numbers don't jive, and that's where I'm coming in with this. Again, this is nothing to do with the two of you, other than, and I'll get there. So if we have $2.8 million from URA, we have $2 million from Pioneer Federal. The project total cost is $4.9. That leaves us with a shortfall of approximately $147,000. Somewhere still we have to come up, whether it's from the URA, we have to come up with $147,000 to even finish this project in this time frame. So that needs to be worked out, first of all, because we don't have enough money. So back to the URA now. Can the URA help us?
The 5.2 million was the phased.
No, it's 4.9 million.
If you do max price, Mayor, sorry.
Go ahead.
It's 5.2 million if you do it in a phased approach. That's if prices don't go up. But in the max price, which is what we're proposing, it's 4.9 million.
That's what it is.
Go ahead.
And then the 2.8, so we had the first phase trying to get enough stuff to get to a certain point. With the in-kind work from the city, we could get phase 1 done with our 2.8. So with the in-kind work, we have more than enough money with the 2 million to complete it without another 147.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Garvey?
So, not from what I'm reading. The project is $4.9 million. If the city didn't do the in-kind work of $522,000, then the project is over and up towards $5 million. So, okay, again, back to, there's a shortfall. Okay, let me finish on where I'm going with this. The other problem that I have with this in-kind work is this is not in-kind work for $522,000. This is the city buying, let me get back to my page. Okay, this is the city buying $211,000 worth of stormwater drainage. This is the city providing sanitary sewer of $17,000. This is the city taking out $182,000 out of our streets budget that we did not budget this year. none of this money, this $522,000, is in our budget. So what are we going to replace? What are we going to do in place of what's coming out of the street budget of $182,000? What's coming out of the parks budget for $106,000? This is my problem. Again, it's not a URA issue, it's a city issue. And we did not budget this money. This money was not in our July budget, and now all of a sudden, we're doing $522,000 of work. This is not in-kind work. This is actual money that the city will have to send out. It is not reported on our expenses. And it's not budgeted. That's my problem. So I think going forward, again, we don't have enough money. We don't have money to complete this project in its entirety unless we are able to go back to the URA and ask them to kindly give us some more money to complete this project. The other thing, real quick, and I'll get off my tangent, there's other two facets also that this $522,000 does not include, and it does not include salaries that are being paid of the individuals that are going to be doing this work. So let's add in salaries, and it's going to be a heck of a lot more than $522,000. The other thing is we're taking this money out of water and wastewater, which are enterprise fees, and every year we ask for a 5% increase. Why are the taxpayers having to foot this $522,000 for a park that we have a URA that's saying we'll fund it completely? It's just, it's not making sense to me. So those are my, I don't know, questions, concerns, thoughts. The project's great. Let's get it done, but we have some more working out to do.
Councilman Brennan.
Gentlemen, to follow up with what she's saying, I would imagine you can't make decisions sitting here as your board, but is that something you think would be a possibility? Is a little more, when we see our numbers of $522,000 of in-kind, that you add to that 2.8 million to cover the tangible expenses, and the city just covers the labor to complete that project right away?
So are you asking for 522,000?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have it by Memorial Day.
When do you get those payments?
Typically the same time that you get yours.
July.
City.
January.
And I don't know if Paul's still on the phone. Could we agree to that, and when they get their next payment of tax money, to essentially reimburse the city within the same tax year that we're in?
Paul, did you hear that?
No, can you restate that question? Reimburse the city how?
Paul, if the URA were to agree to an additional $522,000, which they don't have yet until the next tax roll comes in, is that the right word, tax roll? Yeah. Could the city go ahead and cover that expense up front, and then they reimburse us with their next tax payment? Since that's kind of, I feel like, was the...
Yes, they can, but they would have to, I'm not legal counsel for them, and they'd have to evaluate whether they can provide, when's this indebtedness to be repaid, like how long?
July.
Then yes.
What is July? July is when they get the money.
That's what happens when you're on cheese.
In our fiscal year, through September. Does that sound like a possibility?
I cannot speak for the commissioners, but from my perspective as the treasurer, if we have a positive cash flow, which we will, as Jenny mentioned, we we would use those dollars for something in terms of economic development, resolution of slum and blight inside the district. So I would think a logical decision by the commissioners would be to commit the dollars to that, but we can't spend money until we have it.
Mayor?
Councilwoman Garvey.
So we can't spend the money until we have it. However, we can critique the contract to reflect that you guys will help pay for that portion of it. maybe that would be I know, Paul?
Go ahead, Tiff.
We have currently an existing agreement with URA for only 2.8, so it's a separate than this, the discussion.
Okay. Paul?
Paul?
Yes. Yes.
Do I need to text you? Can we make a separate agreement above and beyond the $2.8 million? And if it's approved by the URA, which I have already volunteered, I would be happy to go to the next meeting, whenever that may be, and ask formally the URA to fund that portion of it. Can we do a separate agreement in addition to the 2.8, or would you recommend it all be together?
If the additional amount is going to hold up or obfuscate, well, it's hard to get out, this 2.8 agreement, then by all means do it as a second agreement. My preference would be to have it in the same agreement, but I don't feel terribly strongly about it.
When is your next meeting?
Next Tuesday.
Too late to get that on the agenda?
I do the agenda, I can put it on there.
Perfect. I guess that would be my request. I feel like that might make 3 of us happy. I don't know, I'm not speaking for everyone, but if that extra $500,000 could be covered by you, and it's not in our budget at all, and we kind of float those expenses, so to speak, I feel like we'd be good and clean with that.
Mayor?
Councilwoman Garvey?
I would like to, again, table this discussion pending just as Councilman Brennan pointed out, we don't even have the agreement signed from Pioneer yet.
It hasn't even went to them.
Okay. So,
Sorry.
I think first and foremost, we need that hardcore commitment before we continue our efforts of deciding whether the project can be phased out and the URA can pay the rest. However, in the meantime, I would be okay, or whomever, go to the URA and formally present this, so then we have that piece checked off. Then let's get Pioneer for sure.
Mayor,
Yes, I'm not finished.
It's like,
I can't have them sign an agreement if you don't authorize the approval of said agreement. So that's why the agreement had to come before the body. So if the agreement approves tonight, then I can have them sign it. That's why. Does that make sense?
and yeah.
And it sounds like there's edits to the agreement.
Councilman Brennan?
Which agenda item are we actually?
The first,
Donation.
the donation.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the proposed donation and branding agreement for Railroad Park Plaza project, changing the one area through interlineation of clarifying a maximum of 15 years from the opening of the park for their branding rights.
Second.
Okay, good motion and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wirkkala?
I just want to point this out. So actually, I want to ask a question. So Mayor, Tiffany, and who else went to talk to Pioneer Credit Union?
Chairman Valley.
Okay, and well, can I just ask how that went? Like, what was your conversation? I'm wondering, well, at first was it how much did you guys ask for first? Was it
Like 500,000 or something, but then they asked, what would you rather? I mean,
I guess just somehow the conversation flowed.
We asked them what they would be willing to do if they wanted to donate for the building, which was 600 and some thousand, or what they wanted to do. They looked at the cost of the whole project, and they said, looks like we're $2 million short. What would we get for $2 million? And I said, send us a proposal of what you want. We'll look at it. City will look at it, and we'll get back to you.
So they're the ones of the offer to the 2 million. You guys started out pretty low, and then they're the
We
ones that.
started off with what they want to do, and they had talked about paying for the building, so.
So, I know this is apples and oranges, but I just got this email, and this is where I have some heartburn too. And I'm not making my decision based on this. This is maybe if Pioneer Credit Union's listening. When I get an email from your company that says that they're closing down the Glens Ferry branch because they're operating at or near break even, rebuilding or renovating would require an investment that we cannot realistically be recovered. And when you have a lot of elderly personnel that bank there in Glens Ferry that now have to travel all the way to Mountain Home or Gooding to do their banking based off the claims that they don't have the financing to remodel a building to keep it operating for those demographics in that community. But yet they have $2 million to give to a park when we have lots of parks. Anyway, I just making a point.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Garvey?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wirkkala?
Nay.
Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Okay. Right, the last portion of that, are we tabling that one, the 4.9 max price?
Mayor,
Councilwoman Garvey?
yes, my apologies. I jumped ahead. I thank you. The brand new agreement. I jumped ahead on that. Yes, I would like to see this portion of it tabled until a couple of those items are checked off.
Their agreement and
Their agreement
Pioneer.
and Pioneer's agreement.
Okay.
Everything will be, I feel like, more clean, and it gets this off of the taxpayers' back. That, I mean, when I think of in-kind work, and this is, again, this is going to kind of be just a Councilwoman Wirkkala's deal. Like, when I think of in-kind work, I think of small work, like, hey guys, you need a hand today, here's my guys, here, come in. This is a full-blown project that it looks like the City of Mountain Home has gone out and bid this project. This is not in-kind work. This is materials. This is so much more than in-kind work. So yeah, I'm glad that we got the numbers clarified. Thank you guys for that.
So is that your motion?
That's the long-winded motion. Yes.
I'll second that.
All right, and it's, okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes, so sorry. So we're tabling
This one.
this one.
Two
Okay.
All right, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo? Aye. Councilwoman Wirkkala?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilwoman Garvey?
Aye.
Okay. Run. Okay, go ahead.
Could I request, if things come back quickly from URA or from Pioneer, could we do a special meeting to have this proceed forward, since it is kind of time sensitive?
Yep, thank you. Okay, run down to action or new, sorry.
Could I add one thing before we're excused?
Yes, sir.
I know that a lot of folks watch these meetings on Facebook, so I just wanted to go on the record and make this clear. This is not the URA's project. This is a city project that the URA can fund per Title 50 Idaho Code, Resolution, Slum and Blight, Economic Development. It fits in that. We're committed to the project, whether it's paid over phases or whether it's paid in one phase. We're in for 2.8. I would suggest that you come to the meeting next month or next week and present something to us and see if we can fill that delta. Okay.
Great. Thank you guys for coming.
And nominate Councilwoman Garvey.
You're going to do all kinds of special meetings before I'm done, huh?
All right, we're gonna run down to action and new business action item number 3, discussion, deliberation regarding proposed 2026 golf fee. Council, what do you want to do? Councilman Brennan.
I'd just like to say, and I hope I'm not speaking out of place, but I don't think the council ever said that we would be in the black this year for golf. I think it's a goal of ours to get towards that, but I don't think any of us ever said we would be there. And also not trying to hide the 4.9% increase. It's the same thing that happens with water and wastewater by resolution typically, and it's on our agenda. I think it's pretty transparent in that. So just a couple earlier topics I wanted to address.
Council, what do you want to do with regarding the fees?
Mayor,
Councilwoman Wirkkala.
so when, like 2 years ago, when a lot of this was coming to light of how much it was in the red, there was a statement made multiple times by individuals saying, let's not do what we did and wait 10 years to put an increase on any of the rates so there's no sticker shock after 10 years, right? And I think that's what happened this last year, was that there wasn't a continuous raise. I mean, and then when there all of a sudden it went up, people are like, what are you doing? So if we can raise our water rates at 5% every year, we can raise our golf rates at 5% every year. I know I just paid off a whole bunch of people saying that, but I have to also stay true to what I believe, and so I'm for this.
Councilman Harjo.
I think my question for this particular topic is, do we have anything besides our metering stick of, we know what our transfer out of the general fund and admin budget to make up the difference at the golf course. We've done this for the past 2 budget cycles. That number grew between 24, 25, now 25, 26. Do you have any idea, as mayor and staff, on when we'll have some revenue data for this particular golf season? Obviously, there are golfers still golfing now. To raise golf rates at this juncture, man, this is coming to me at this moment. I think it might behoove us to have some understanding of what our actual revenues versus projected revenues are, so we can adjust accordingly to know if a 4.9 increase is sufficient. If it's overbearing, I would like to have some inkling of where we might be in terms of revenue for this particular goal.
Hold that thought. Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, so when we talk about percentages, I just want to make it clear on like what it would raise. So for example, green fees for adult weekday is going up $1.02. Okay? Sorry. We got junior rate, ages 6 to 18 is going up 68 cents. Twilight fees, 97 cents. Okay? There's always a thing that's called a cost of living increase, right? Everything goes up every year, as we know. So if we didn't even put on any increase, we're not doing our due diligence keeping up with that. So if that's not the right percentage, then I'm willing to listen, but I think it should be some percentage.
Probably believe those numbers.
Mayor, she could grab them.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, just if she I'm assuming that's what she whispered to Councilwoman Garvey.
I was like, I was just getting ready to ask her, do you have those numbers?
She said she could.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Paula.
You're welcome. So this is the actual that it did in September. And then these are your history.
So, Paula, as I read these numbers, our actual for 24-25, we were above the 23-24 by 100 and, no, I can do that. I'm not going to do that in my head. Calculate that. Go ahead.
You gotta take out that pump project, 297. You have to take
Oh,
that out. That
touche,
is
yep.
not revenue.
Yep, yep,
That's a transfer.
yep.
And also, you should probably take out the general transfer from general funds. Those two numbers have to come out of that bottom line.
Yeah,
which is a lot.
You're just gonna look at your descriptions,
Yes.
part storage, and
Yeah.
do
Yes.
right to left. So you're just gonna look at the description and move to the left.
Individual rows.
Yes, individual rows.
too, when you're looking at the driving range, that's not the 23, 24, and then 24, 25. Correct me if I'm wrong, Paula. 23, 24 was only several months. It wasn't an entire year.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so you can't, that's not an accurate comparison on those two lines.
It's a little early to tell that still.
On the driving range?
All of it.
I think your season passes are accurate.
And those should be done, yeah.
Go ahead, Tim.
That's part of the problem of, like, their fee increases come at this time because the season passes tend to be bought around this time for the upcoming season, and we run those on the calendar here. So, questions of timing, that would be why.
Go ahead, Councilman Harjo.
Councilwoman Wirkkala did a great job of expressing the specifics of what the actual fee increases are by this 4.9% increase and what that means to the actual dollar expenditure of the culvert. I do believe it's a relatively trivial increase in the grand scheme of things. I do still think that the city should be mindful of what expenditure versus revenue looks like in this sense. 4.9% seems awfully light in a lot of senses. I think I'd like to hear some feedback from the other council on what their position on that 4.9 is and how it pertains to this fee increase and what our goals are for revenue increases versus expenditure.
Councilman Brennan?
Based on what I'm seeing, I think the 4.9 would be just a good starting point for this year, so that we have a little bit more time to compare numbers, like whole years. Next year when you're sitting here, you can make a really good informed decision there on if you want to go bigger or not. Oh boy. I think it's good for this year because we don't have full numbers yet on some of them. Sorry.
Mayor?
Go ahead, Councilwoman Garvey.
Yeah, I mean, the season pass numbers have consecutively went down, and then when you look at the actual for 24, 25, and then you look at the 25, 26 budget, that's a pretty big deficit there. So my suggestion, if this is going to be the case, then there needs to be some hustle on the golf course, because I don't see $125,000 of season passes being sold at all. So I think this budget is quite large and lofty.
So council, is that what I'm hearing is what do you guys want to do for the 4.9? Sorry. Do you want to set a public hearing? Right, well, I'm saying, does the council think they need to be higher, or are they fine where they're at? That's my question, sorry.
Mayor? Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilman Brennan, sorry, go ahead.
Make a motion to approve the proposed 2026 golf fee increase.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the decision, deliberation decision?
Mayor, you need to do 4 for
Oh,
the
sorry,
resolutions.
I need to do 4, you're right. Run down to item number 5, deliberation decision regarding resolution 22-2026R, increase fees for 2026, and I'll go to your side. Councilman Harjo.
Make a motion to approve new business action item number 4, deliberation decision regarding resolution 22-2026R to increase golf fees for the 2026 season.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Garvey.
Nay.
Councilman Brennan. Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
And now let's run down to new business item number 5. I apologize. Action item, deliberation decision to authorize purchase of golf course equipment for approval of new lease purchase for replacement mowers and allocate of equipment inventory funds to offset the FY26 payment. It's a mouthful. Mayor. Councilman Harjo.
And this is fortunately timed where we're mindful of our expenditure in this portion of our budget. As we sit with this particular topic, seemingly we're at a crossroads of what we could expend in either a lease. It's been mentioned in some of this documentation that there's a possibility of purchasing. There are factors of this budget that did not get, that were deferred for no available funds: the Echo robot, the Toro spraying rig, the green sprayer. I apologize. We do have a little bit of leeway within the budget line of the CIP. We allocated $40,000 to clubhouse siding. I think I'd be interested in not perpetuating leases for equipment and commit to a purchase of the equipment that we have on hand and utilize the $40,000 from the siding project in conjunction with the remaining funds total budgeted for FY26, which was $19,106. Purchase these pieces of equipment outright, take good care of them for several years, and not have a lease payment going forward.
Mayor. I'm sorry. Mayor.
Councilwoman Wirkkala.
I just needed to clarify, because what we said we were going to do, I hate this phone. What we said we were going to do in our budget session, all of this is meeting what we approved in our budget, except for the HVAC, right? Right? Right. Yeah.
No, the line doesn't have enough funds to allocate all those lease purchase items that are listed.
Right, I know, but when we made our budget, that's why I brought my budget book. I crossed out everything that we said no to and circled everything we said aye to, right? So that's why I just want to say also, I don't want to go against our word, right? Things that you need. We're not asking for anything in addition to, really. We're just switching the funds just a little bit to cover what we already said we're going to give you, right? Except for the HVAC. And then my question for that says, well, then that'll be presented on the next budget. So here's the thing. If we say we're going to give you something in our budget session, we need to uphold our end, right? So I'm okay with all of this. And that's why I had like so many questions. I don't know if it helps to read off all your answers to help educate.
I hope you don't do that.
You have proper grammar and speech. So. But anyway, so to my point is that things are getting moved just a little bit, but what we said we're going to give you, right, we need to uphold our end of the bargain. So that's just where I stand on it. And if the only thing is the HVAC at $7,500 and put that on the next cycle, the next budget session, then, yeah, let's do it.
Council, what do you want to do? Councilman Brennan?
I'm gonna agree with Councilman Harjo that to me the best solution is buying the equipment outright and canceling the clubhouse siding for this year.
Council, is it a motion? Councilwoman Garvey?
I just want to make sure I'm understanding all of this in its entirety correctly. There's a lot of information on this page. It's like, okay, just give me some simple numbers. Okay, so we are over our allocation of $37,000. Yes. Okay. Based on what we approved, where we're at.
So the discrepancy becomes the actual GL line has $107,000 in it, but your CIP chart on the secondary page came to a value of $145,000. There's a discrepancy.
Okay.
And those are the two pieces of equipment that were identified as a deferment, which I've worked with Jake and Paula. And the green sprayer, Jake said, I'm okay, my Toro sprayer is enough. I don't need the green sprayer, so he's okay with that at a later date. And then the Echo robots, he had been trying to obtain those, and they sat in port in the last budget cycle for a long time. And at this point, they're not allocated in, and so we're just going to nix them now until the distributor's sorry, maybe next time.
Can we,
Sorry.
you're fine.
Go ahead.
Okay. So with the, my thoughts back here. Okay, with the clubhouse siding, do we have a contractor in place?
I have 2 quotes. I don't have a contractor in place or anything. I've just got 2 quotes, and I've just been kind of waiting to see what's going to happen before.
Because, I mean, realistically, the clubhouse siding, I mean, well, I wouldn't tear off siding on my house in the middle of winter. So that won't be until spring at any rate at this point. So I definitely think it's something that needs to be done. Very much so. But if we can move that, because it's not even going to be done anyway right now, then I guess I'm kind of, I'm kind of agreeing with you guys on take that out for right now.
Mayor. Hang on a second, Councilwoman. Sorry. Councilwoman Wirkkala, you had something?
But it's still within the fiscal year, right? So if it's done now, or if it's done in the spring, it's still something that we said we were going to do. And I know all 4 of us did a deep dive into this budget, and these are things that we said. So if I had fire come up or police come up and say, just kidding, let's not do this because we changed our hearts between a lease and a purchase because we're financially, then we didn't do our jobs back in July, right? So I think what we said, what we're doing in July, we need to uphold it right now. And if it's only just $7,500 of an HVAC that you're willing to push over to the next year, then what's really the big problem here? Yes.
Okay, hang on a second. Councilman Harjo?
I'll defer my comments so Councilwoman Garvey can.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Garvey.
We're still short money.
No. Yes. How much?
So,
We are. We're still short money.
Yeah,
No, because you're moving funding.
No, ma'am. So,
We'll basically break even if we take out the 40.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll basically break even because we're short 37,000. If we look on the first page,
So right down here.
yeah.
So the total allocation of these purchases on your chart was $145,000 in payment obligations. However, what got put into the actual budget line is $107,000. So that's a shortfall of $37,000. That doesn't include him engaging into a new lease of the 2 pieces of equipment, and that has about an $8,000. Is that right? I've got a lot of numbers bouncing, so correct me if I'm wrong. His new lease payment is $28,000 and currently allocated is $19,000. So there's still a shortfall in that book as well if you enter into a lease agreement. And that's stretching a lease to 72 months, which we typically don't do or like to.
Hey, hang on. Sorry, Mayor. All right. Yes, so this is correct. So we said 10,000 for the restaurant equipment. We said 40,000 for the siding, 7,500 for the HVAC. That's what we agreed upon, right? Everything else we said no. Then everything else here is been on the bottom part, the equipment lease has been already, it's in a lease. Pardon me. Collar mower.
Existing obligation.
And then we said no to the Echo. We said no to the T-mower. Right?
I don't know if I don't have a T-mower.
The T-mower is 12,000. That was on our budget book right here, underneath our capital improvement.
I have notes. Can I help?
Yeah.
All right, because I know that was super confusing for the whole thing. And so on the 99, which is the capital improvement, we're actually talking, you had all those ones that, yeah, we were at 50 because I took out also the HVAC that was removed somewhere during the discussion.
HVAC was removed in July.
And in the discussion it was removed. And then on your worksheets, these ones that says requires new lease purchase, all of those were removed. Greens mower, Echo robots, the 5-year lease, the fairway mower, and the T-mower, which ended $55,519, which brought you down to the $107,925, which was budgeted. Now, I'm not saying that what you have is incorrect or correct, just that that was the discussion, and that's how I kept track of what was happening. Because
it was a lot.
4 of you guys were like, this is what we want.
Mayor. Yeah, so I did the exact same thing. Every line item, either cross it off, but the one thing I did say, for the fairway and greens mower, I have renew lease and bring a new fairway and greens mower.
Yes,
so,
that
didn't
not
make it
what
into the budget.
I took that out. Yeah.
Is that what's, can I ask the council what you guys recall? Mayor?
Councilwoman Garvey?
Can you just repeat that really quick? I'm sorry, what you just asked the question.
Yeah. So what Paula said crossed everything off, right? But then we all came, I got to the agreement. I have here circled, highlighted, renew lease and bring a new fairway and greens mower.
Right, and so that didn't get budgeted, so that's why we're here today, trying to do that.
Okay, so I guess where my confusion is that I thought it did.
Yeah.
And so it never made it into the
Mayor.
Councilwoman Garvey?
And this is not my notebook. This is Councilman Brennan's notebook, but he also has stay on there as well.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, yes, I believe you're, I'm speaking for you, I apologize.
Yeah, you're good.
He has stay in here as well, so that should have stayed, but it didn't get stayed. It didn't stay.
So now that's why we're trying to get to the 40s.
So Mayor. So that's where I'm trying to get back to where I thought we were, is that I thought we.
I'm trying to keep track.
Yeah, so I thought we already said, as a council, that we're keeping that. It didn't make it in there for all the craziness, right? And so that's where I thought we needed to uphold our bargain, and I still stand on that. So if we can make it work.
Councilman Harjo?
I think part of the confusion in that area was we did a lot of give and take in terms of what new equipment, CIP, we were asking to take off of the budget, while then also committing that a potential new purchase of irrigation pump equipment was going to come out of contingency, and that was part of that give and take during that time period. That's all the notes that I have on these two budget lines is pertaining to that that give and take of what the golf course and Jake were willing to set aside and defer. And here we are with the budget differentiation of $37,000. I think the logical thing, in keeping with our golf CIP for the overall expenditure, would be wise to utilize the clubhouse siding, defer that to a future CIP, use those funds now to purchase this equipment in conjunction with the allocated 19,000 and change to purchase these. So with that, I'm going to make a motion to authorize the purchase of the current golf course equipment, utilizing 40,000 from the siding in the CIP, allocate that towards the purchase of the 2020 Toro 3220 triplex green mower for 24,000 and the 2020 Toro 5410 Real Master fairway mower for 32,000.
Second.
Mayor,
And Councilwoman Garvey?
and we still don't have enough money though. We're still short 16. So we gotta figure out where that's gonna come from.
The difference between the mayors.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
In the spreadsheet, I did the existing obligation allocation for the leases is $93,000. So should be about 14,000 remaining.
Okay.
There's still going to be a little bit.
Yeah, we're still short,
We're
but
gonna
not short 16,000.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanna make sure, I'm like, my numbers aren't right.
Which again, you could use, as Councilwoman Wirkkala mentioned in the email that she did not read aloud. There's available funds and equipment replacement upgrades of about $3,700 after the chair purchases. So we could use that in council.
So there's a motion and a second. Mayor, Councilman Harjo, to clarify, without reiterating, I'd like to add to your litigation to the motion that we can utilize the remaining funds after chair purchase and stay within the CIP. There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Garvey?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan? Councilwoman Wirkkala?
Aye.
Councilman Harjo? All right. Going down to final comment. Councilman Brennan?
I have a question for Chief Larson. I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but in follow up to the whitewater analytics study that we heard tonight, is the Clearwater, sorry, is the police department building space in imminent need of expansion or remodel? Like, we're still paying the debt on it. And has there been any conversation of that even needing to be studied, or?
Nothing I'm aware of with council administration.
I'm just trying to figure, like, if it were to come back when I'm gone, like, can we narrow it down to facilities that need it? And I'm not gonna hold you to that right this second, you know, but I still see it as being a pretty new building that I don't know if it's bursting at the seams personnel inside, but if it's something we could trim down later, then that would be great.
I mean, we do have more staff than we did when we moved into it in 2003.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Mayor. Councilman Harjo? Firstly, I'd like to congratulate our councilman-elect. Wonderful job on a campaign. I did want to offer, I grabbed a couple thumb drives from TIFF. Through the process of the last couple of years, we've amassed a pretty large library of key documents that the city is driven by, and I've got a bunch of those here on my laptop. I was going to collate those, give you guys thumb drives so you kind of have the opening stanza of what's occurred in recent years. Obviously, there's a lot of other things to uptake between now and then, emails, membership to AIC. There's some AIC events coming up before the beginning of the new year that are pretty informative. So I'd like to make sure that these gentlemen get those invites. I understand some of that's already happened. Brandon's been contacted about emails, computer hardware, that kind of stuff. So we'll do what we can to, as the sitting council, to give you guys a great step forward coming in with all this kind of collated for you, and hopefully get off on the right foot for everything.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations.
Congrats, guys.
All I got is Veterans Day was yesterday, and the high school did a phenomenal job. Chief Nix got up there and did a phenomenal speech about a gentleman that here. It was just amazing. So we got to make that. I know Randy, our IT guy, was there. That was cool. I didn't know he was Army, so it was good to see. The cemetery, Miguel, Saul, Tiffany. I mean, the cemetery always looks phenomenal. And I got to thank the Legion Post 101, 26, and the American Legion Riders. They crush it, and that's pretty impactful. So I'd like to thank our two people sitting to my right and left that served our country. So I appreciate you guys doing your service to our country. But if you ever get a chance to go to that cemetery Veterans Day ceremony, it's pretty impactful. I was a little disheartened that the government shut down, did not allow our current brand new wing commander to speak, or the existing command chief. They were not allowed to speak, so they were there on their own accord, and that just shows you the support that the Air Force Base has for the city of Mount Home. So it was pretty awesome.